Hi. So, I've actually quit villager hunting because it's been such a headache and I just could not take it anymore. So I've decided to actually amiibo in the last few villagers that I couldn't find. And since I didn't actually do a villager hunt for them, I've decided to actually reveal them through this short-formed video where I will go over each and every villager that I have in my island and what class that they represent. And yeah, I'll also just go over how I got each villager as well. So first up, we actually have the scout villager who is Jay. We actually got Jay, I believe, in 3 tickets. So he was a pretty quick one to find. And actually, I wasn't sure if I really wanted him or Ace. It was definitely between the two of them. I only got him because he came out before I got Ace. So I'm still deciding on whether I want to keep him or Ace. It's definitely between the two. But I've already remodeled his house, his interior, and also got his villager picture. So I kind of don't really want to do that with Ace, which is why, yeah, I'm definitely on the fence on whether I should keep him or not. Because to be honest, I think Ace kind of fits Scout better a little bit design-wise, just because of those like white markings. It kind of looks like the bandages on Scout's knuckles. So yeah, I don't know about this one. I might change him out, but you know, I'm so burnt out and so like I just want to get this island done. So I think I might just keep Jay. So a quick update. I actually decided to replace Jay with Ace. I just really think Ace's design fits the Scout a lot better. So I ended up just amiiboing Ace in, and in terms of his picture, I just got it from a treasure island because I am not going through the grind of getting his picture. I just need to get this island done and over with. Next up, for the soldier, obviously it has to be Apollo. Like, who else could it be? Apollo's birthday is July 4th. He is the most American, the most patriotic villager. Of course, I had to pick him to be the soldier. Apollo as well, I believe I got him quite easily through villager hunting, so he wasn't too painful to get. Also, he happens to be my now brother's favorite villager, or one of his favorite villagers. So yeah, I really like him, and I'm really happy that he gets to represent soldier. Now, for Pyro, I had a few villagers in mind of who could represent him, and I actually settled on Phoebe. I think she actually fits him the best. I was considering Drago, just because he's a dragon, but I didn't like the color scheme. And then later on, I actually found Julian on a villager hunt and thought that he would also be decent for Pyro, but I decided to pass him over and never found him again. And so I decided to actually settle on Phoebe. I actually found her on a villager hunt that I didn't actually record. Here are some pictures of me finding her, and I think she fits really well. I also like the fact that she's the only female villager who represents one of the mercenaries, because there is a little bit of ambiguity about Pyro's true gender, and I think it's a decent representation of that by having Phoebe, who is a phoenix and also the only female villager who represents a mercenary. So yeah, I actually like the layers to her. So I'm really happy about having her to represent Pyro. So next up, for the demo villager, I chose Rasher. I think Rasher actually fits demo quite well design-wise, just because of all of the scars that he has. I think is a decent replacement for the actual eye patch. There was a pig in previous games that had an eye patch, but for some reason they got rid of him. So I was looking through the villager list and found Rasher, and I think Rasher actually fits demo quite well. And I was gonna have a pig for demo anyway if that pig with the eye patch was still in the game. So yeah, I think Rasher was a decent choice, because honestly I don't see any other villagers who could actually work, especially with like Demoman having an only one eye, and I think Rasher is probably the closest that we're gonna get to that. Next up, to represent the heavy, I chose Teddy, and Teddy I actually got on a villager hunt, which I did record, and it was one of the most painful villager hunts that I went through. I went through all of the Nook miles that I had just trying to find. I believe it took like almost 200 tickets just to find Teddy, and it was such a pain. But I was so happy when I got him. And I think he fits Heavy really perfectly, especially because Heavy does get associated with bears quite a bit in TF2, since he's like a big Russian man, and also he does fight bears in the comic. So yeah, I thought Teddy was a very decent representation of Heavy in Animal Crossing. So this next villager who represents the engineer, I actually had to use an amiibo to get him in, just because he just absolutely refused to show up in any of my villager hunts. Now, there was one last villager hunt that I went on that was like the absolute last straw, which is what caused me to actually get amiibos to fill in the last couple of villagers. And it was because I was doing it over the course of a couple of days. And this was all off camera because I had no time to actually sit down and record. And I don't know, something happened with the time traveling because, you know, you have to stay on the same day or like go back in time to make sure the plot doesn't get filled. But something happened, like I must have messed up or something because the plot got filled. And this villager Truffles came in, and I was already pissed off because I couldn't find anyone in any of the villager hunts that I was going on. And then freaking Truffles moved in, and it pissed me off so much. And she was the absolute last straw. Like, I hate her because of what she did to me. So I decided to quit. Like, she's the reason I quit villager hunting, and I ended up just getting an amiibo. So I decided to get Graham. Now, Graham was gonna be a definite choice for the engineer. There wasn't anyone else that I was really thinking of to represent the engineer. I think Graham actually fits perfectly to be the engineer because of various reasons. First of all, those like glasses I think work really well, and also for some reason like the coloring of him, he just reminds me of the engineer. I think because it's like the same color as the hard hat that Engie wears, but I think he just fits so perfectly to be the engineer. Also, I think it's just quite fitting the fact that Graham is, out of this villager lineup, the shortest, because Engie is also the shortest. Also, he's a hamster, and I personally think Engineer is the cutest class. Like, he's so cute. Like, I don't know what it is about him, but he's adorable. And I think Graham is also really cute. So I think as the short hamster, I think he fits the Engineer villager very, very well. Next up, for the villager who represents the sniper, I also had to amiibo him in because at this point, you know, I wasn't going to do any more villager hunts. So I was like, okay, I might as well just get the last couple of villagers with amiibos. So I got Eugene to represent Sniper. I put a lot of thought into who could represent Sniper. I definitely wanted it to be one of the Australian-based animals. Unfortunately for the kangaroos, there's only 2 male villagers, and I don't think they really fit Sniper very well. And then out of the koalas, I thought that Eugene would fit him the best just because he does wear the sunglasses, and I don't know, he kind of reminds me of the Sniper in a way. So I think Eugene was a decent fit. Like, I wouldn't say he's perfect exactly, but out of like all of the villagers, I do think that he's probably the best. Okay, so I'm a little bit excited to reveal the next villager because I do think that he's also a really decent fit, and I'm really happy with the layers to him as well. Now, for the medic villager, I also amiiboed him in. It's gonna be Doc, and I think he fits the medic so well. First of all, the glasses, they're red, but they look exactly like the glasses that medic wears, and I think it fits so perfectly. The only thing about him that I don't really like is like the orange highlights, which I don't really think fits very well. But other than that, I think he's pretty perfect, especially the fact his name is also Doc. It was just like a match made in heaven. Like, I think he fits medic so well, and I also do think it's appropriate that he is a rabbit villager as well. So yeah, I'm really happy about this one. So for the final mercenary, the spy, I got Jacques, who I actually did reveal early on just because he did show up in one of my first villager hunts. I think Jacques fits the spy really well. The fact that his name is a French name. Also design-wise, it kind of looks like he does wear the mask that Spy wears. I feel like if Spy became an animal, his mask would become part of the design, and I think Jacques would be somewhat of that kind of design that Spy would turn into. Now, I was considering a couple of other villagers. Like, I didn't really know if I wanted two classes to be represented by the same species, because we got Jay and Jacques, who are both birds. But also it was sort of intentional. Like, my initial thought in picking those two was the fact that Scout and Spy are supposed to be related in TF2 lore, and the fact that the Spy is Scout's dad. So I thought like that was the angle I was going for when I was choosing the mercenaries. I thought it would be kind of like a funny reference to that, the fact that Jay and Jacques are the same species. But now I'm kind of like not sure about that, just because TF2 is also well known for the silhouettes like of each class. Like, they're very distinguished from each other, like, and you can tell just by the shadows like who is who. So I was also considering like maybe I should do different species just also to kind of reference that. But I don't know about this one. Like, I feel like it's like between whether I want to reference the fact that Spy and Scout are related or all classes having distinct silhouettes. So I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I think I'll just go with the family angle and just have both the Scout and the Spy be represented by the same species to reference that. But yeah, that was definitely one of the considerations that I did have. Now, it would be remiss of me if I didn't mention the final villager, or the 10th villager that I have for my TF2 based island, and that is Petrie, to represent Miss Pauling. First of all, the ears that she has, the red and blue, I think is so perfect just to represent the fact that Miss Pauling, she works for the administrator who controls both the red and blue teams. So in the TF2 world, Miss Pauling and the administrator, they're both represented by purple because purple is a mix of red and blue. But I think having separate ears that are red and blue, I think that's also a decent representation. So that in itself was so perfect. But also, I only found this out when I went back to reread the comics, but she's also referred to as a mousy woman. So Petrie being a mouse and also having red and blue ears, I think it's a match made in heaven again. Like, I think she works so perfectly to be Miss Pauling, and I'm so happy that I have her. I love her to death. I also love her theme. Petrie has become one of my top villagers. I really like her. But yeah, so I am really happy to have her in this island to represent Miss Pauling. And those are all of the mercenaries in my TF2 themed island, plus Miss Pauling. But yeah, that's all of the villagers that I have for my island, and I think they fit really well into the theme. I'm really happy with my choice. So now that the villagers have been revealed for which class that they are going to represent, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to actually do a full tour of my island because I actually did finish it all off camera. I'm also going to release the dream address along with it because I've actually already uploaded it, so I might as well release it now. So we'll get more into detail of my island in the next video that I plan to record and hopefully upload before Christmas. But we will see. But this is the end for this one, so I'll be going now.